Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to be setting up our last route, and that's crypto, and we need a parameter there. And the parameter is whatever the name of the currency is going to be. So if we're doing a Bitcoin, then we need to do crypto Bitcoin, and we see that this is what we're returning. And this is the information we want to load into the browser. So let's set that up. And I know that we've used jQuery up here, and we could use jQuery to do the AJAX calls. Use fetch because we're using that down here as well. And we're using that for price. So let's still stay consistent with that. And where we get the one rate, let's we know that the URL, so I can load that in, crypto / and then it's going to be that currency value. So first of all, let's see what happens when we try to get that one route, and then we'll take a look and we'll see what we need to update. Type in Bitcoin, and we see that we return back content for Bitcoin, so that worked. And let's do Ripple. So we see that we return back content for Ripple. So everything is working, and if you do notice, again, the output is being output within a string format. So if we want to actually make use of this and output it into our HTML, we need to make a quick update to that where we need to output it as HTML. So let's set up a container first where we're going to drop our output. So we'll call it output 1. And this is where we're going to deposit all of that information. So the idea here is because we've got an object, we've just got the one item within the array, and we've got an object, it's in a string format. So we need to parse it into JSON in order to make use of it. And then as we're outputting it, I want to loop through all of those available values and build that output. So we can do JSON parse, and let's parse out that data and do 0. And we got to make sure we have something there. So there we go. So we can parse out that information. So this is what we're going to pass along into our function, currency. And we're going to pass in the data. And let's update our console log. Instead of console logging it out, it will output that data. So what do we need to do here? That we've got all of this information. What we want to do is we want to loop through all of those values. So first of all, let's make sure that we're getting the data within a good format that we can actually make use of. So we'll output into there. And we see that we're returning all that information back. So that's working properly. Next, what we want to do is we want to loop through it. So let's loop through, and we'll get the key in data and loop through all of the values, all of the keys and values that are contained within there. So first of all, let's get the key content. So I'll call this one let key. And I want to actually grab the key value, but I also want to replace out that dash. So we see that within the key, it's got the underscores. So I want to replace that with just regular spaces. So I'm going to use the JavaScript replace method. And we're going to grab all of those underscores and we're going to replace them with spaces. And also, I want to capitalize this. So we're going to use that same prototype that we used within the backend here where we capitalized. And let's just put that at the bottom here so that we can make use of that. And I know jQuery has an option for that, but we'll keep that separate. So it'll be capitalize method. So that's going to be the key content. And this one is going to be data. That's going to return back our value that's contained within the key. Also, we'll create a holder for this, HTML, and we'll do some H1. So we'll add in some HTML here. So that will return back the name, and then we'll close off our H1 tag. And then over here, we're just going to add HTML. So we'll increment HTML with a div and do the key content. I'll need to have another single quote there. So key content, the value of key content. And this way, we're going to be grabbing the value and outputting that next. And then lastly, let's grab output 1 and set its inner HTML. And that's going to be equal to HTML. So let's grab that in and place that output 1. And query selector all is output 1. And before we try it, this actually has to be a let so that we can update and change it. So let's refresh. And let's try one of the currencies. Let's make it big. And so there we go. So we're able to pull back information on each one of them. We can see them all within various currency values. There's quite a bit of information here. And of course, you can update this as needed. So we've got our Bitcoin Cash. So there's Bitcoin Cash ID, symbol, rank, US dollars, price, total. And you can make use of this as well and make it look a whole lot nicer. So now that we've set up all of the default functionality, it's up to you. Take what you've learned in the earlier lessons and update it, add in some styling, and customize this output using the various API routes that we had created within the backend. And you can also try it within the front end as well, just going directly to the APIs as well, and really get familiar with how to pull this data in and make use of it within your web page. And the source code is also included, so you can try it out for yourself and get comfortable with AJAX and AJAX requests to the CoinMarketCap API.